Hi, I'm Phil Palucha from Billionaires in Boxers, and you are about to engage with Up Level Your Communication, hosted by Miluna. Wow, this is going to be powerful. Communication is at the heart of everything that is good about business and about sharing with your fellow humans, and Miluna is phenomenal at helping you share that message and also interview some pretty special and amazing guests too. Check it out right now.
Welcome to Up Level Your Communication. I'm your host, Dr. Miluna Fausch. On this show, I will be interviewing some of the most interesting business people in the world. We'll focus on up-leveling your communication and leadership skills so that your voice can be heard and you can make an impact in the world. Welcome to Up Level Your Communication. My guest today is from a famous family. I think you might know the name. Her father, Samuel Popeil, created the Veg-O-Matic and Pocket Fisherman. He was an inventor, manufacturer. He held over 200 patents, and he was an early television marketer. Her brother, Ron Popeil, was known for Mr. Microphone, Popeil Pasta Maker, and the Showtime Rotisserie. He was an amazing on-air personality considered king of the infomercials. Now, my guest also knows show business. She performed with Frank Zappa and Weird Al Yankovic, and her 1983 album was a Billboard top album pick. Please welcome my favorite voice teacher in the whole world, live from Ventura County, California. She's the founder of VoiceWorks, Lisa Popeil. Oh, what a lovely intro. Thank you. Thank you, Miluna. My pleasure. Well, today we get to talk about my favorite topic in the whole world, perhaps, is intentional, purposeful, up-leveled communication. And the first thing I want to ask you, this is the first thing that you mentioned before we are here doing this interview, actually. You say that voice quality is often overlooked and is the missing ingredient in both social and business success. It's how we sound when we speak, not just what we're saying and not just the way our body language is. Talk to us about this.
A big part of what makes us seem successful, charming, is voice quality. And that doesn't just mean not being too nasal or not being too loud or not having an obnoxious laugh or not having a lot of gravel. It's what you can do to have a lovely, appealing, warm, luscious, sexy voice, but not artificial. And what I'm hoping to share with our audience today are some tools that you can incorporate right away that will help your voice be its most attractive. I've seen people over the years, particularly women in business, who have believed that speaking very low and manly is their way to be respected, and maybe that did help. But having melody in the voice and finding one's perfect, ideal speaking pitch and then using melody around that has such a subliminal and positive effect on the listener. If you think about it, our voices are changing the biology of the listener. That means that your sound waves that you're creating are going inside the ears and brain of your listener. So I'm going to divert a tiny bit to talk about charisma. Charisma isn't just having a light around you and being memorable, but charisma in Greek means gift. And just as we have a physical, energetic or electromagnetic charisma, we also are affecting people's, we're giving our voice, we're impacting not just their eyeballs, but their ears and their brains. So you have an opportunity, everyone has an opportunity to use a professional voice that is a gift to the listener, not just look good. Then I've seen women also who will spend a fortune on their wardrobe, their jewelry, their makeup, their hair, and then they sound like they're half dead, and they don't realize that we're being judged by our voices all the time. And how you speak at home with your family doesn't matter, but it's nice to be able to, just like putting on a nice pair of clothes or earrings or a suit, it's nice to be able to push a button and have a professional voice that people actually want to listen to.
Oh, yes. I almost said amen to that. It's so true. As women, we're taught how you look and all of the superficial things, but it's what you said. When we open our mouth, does it match? Is it unpleasant? Are we immediately turned off or tuned out or not paid attention to as credible or successful? Yes, it happens a lot. From incorrect pitch to the way we're literally speaking and presenting. So thank you for that. I think it's so much more important than people understand, and it can make such a difference. And I hadn't thought about it in that way. Of course, we're also touching people's brains, aren't we? It's going deep.
It is. It might as be nice if it's going in that deep.
We better be kind to our other humans here on the planet. It really matters.
I think one of the issues or problems or challenges people have is we don't know how we speak. We did not learn to speak. We speak like what we heard when we were growing up. We're hardwired to imitate our parents mostly and other family members around us. So we have no idea how to speak. We just do it. And when you start looking into how the voice works, as I do now, after really 60 years of voice study, I know, hard to believe, but and teaching for 50 years, my interest and passion in learning what's really going on, because it's invisible, it's never-ending fascination with the mechanics. But my job as a voice coach, working with singers and speakers, is to simplify that. So how can we get instant results, instant improvement? And the nice thing is that when you improve the quality of your voice with some of the techniques that I'm happy to share with everyone today, it feels good too. It makes you happier. If you talk in a low, monotone way, as many women do, or adding a lot of fry, I still can't believe people are on television with fry in their voices.
It hurts.
Easy to fix. So that's the good news, if you know what to do. And that's why I'm committing the rest of my life to doing research, but also to teaching other voice trainers my hard-won methods, so everyone can have more beauty, more success, and it makes you feel good all at the same time. So it's a total win. It just takes a little bit of attention, a little bit of practice, and awareness, and a little bit of effort. It's really not hard if you know what to do.
Yes, and because you simplified it for us. There are literally voices on television that hurt me. Are you physically hurt and screaming?
Yes, I don't turn it off. I will change the channel, because it's their lack of awareness about how they sound is offensive to me. It's probably not fair of me, but it'd be like if I were a ballerina and I went to a ballet. I might not enjoy it as much as someone who doesn't know anything about ballet. But in terms of voice, there are actually a lot of people who they don't like it. They don't know what they don't like. They just know it grates them the wrong way too. So it's not just that I'm a snob, which I am. It's not just that. It's there's something unpleasant. It sounds unhealthy. It sounds like something's wrong, that they're emotionally disturbed in some way, that maybe they have repressed pain and anger and trauma that they haven't dealt with. And it's like, okay, I'm sympathetic, but don't be on television. Don't force me to listen to your voice. Get some help.
Get some help, please.
Some help, please.
We're saying this because it's a, as you said, some folks may not listen or hear like we do as musicians, but it affects, doesn't it? As you said, it affects them. They may not know why, but it's a voice they want to turn off. Could you teach us, first of all, let's start with a great warm-up for speakers, and then 3 or 4 of those amazing tips I know you have to instantly improve the sound of our voice.
But wait, there's more. And you listen before midnight tonight. We'll throw in I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. So I actually think that vocal exercises themselves aren't as important as other people do. I think it's more important to know exactly what to do to have an ideal voice, not by just doing a bunch of exercises and then speaking like you habitually do. But I believe that what you do with your body and your posture is vital to manifesting your ideal voice. I won't say most beautiful. I'll call it your ideal speaking voice. First step is to make sure that you've lengthened the back of your neck. So you can take your fingers and touch the top of your spine and very gently lengthen the back of your neck. Relax your bellies. Don't squeeze them in. Make sure that the head is soft by moving your head gently with your hands, not by itself. All right, it's soft, but the back of the neck is long, keeping the upper belly and lower belly soft. Also, you may have noticed that when you pulled up on the back of your neck slightly, that it raised your chest. Those two are key to having a more beautiful voice. Long back of the neck where the head is right on top of the body and the chest a little higher than normal, especially if you sit over a phone or over a computer or read all day long. Gravity is constantly pushing down on us, and this is going to affect your ability to manifest your ideal voice. So back of the neck and chest high. Those are two. Also, make sure that you blow air through your vocal cords through your mouth into the room. And when I say blow, I don't just mean be breathy. I just mean make sure that there's solid, velvety feeling air moving through your vocal folds. And one way you can check is you take your hand and you put the palm in front of your mouth, about an inch or 2 in front of your mouth. And with your good posture, just say, yeah, 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 yeah. And try to feel hot steam on your hand. Let's try all of us together. Yeah, 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 yeah. You may be surprised how much hot steam is coming through. And vocal fry, the thing that there have been many articles about over the last 15 years or so, is caused when there's not enough air going through the vocal cords and they actually start moving and vibrating in a different pattern altogether. So if you have a tendency to talk like that, you probably are also have a low chest and a head that's sticking forward. So you may simply be fixed by lengthening the back of the neck with the chest high, but actively putting air through. You might want to do this hand motion as well. This hand motion helps the airflow go out of you. So in speech, we need to take a breath and then speak. That's not how the brain works. Our brains work where we speak and we run out of air. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we take a breath. So the better way is to take a bigger than normal breath before each of the phrases you're going to say. So I take a breath and then you blow it out. And now I have this velvety sound that's a bit like a roller coaster of vibrating air. And this is a pleasant sound to listeners. Also, if you tend to be monotone, it tends to go with depression, fatigue. Simply by taking a big breath in and blowing hot steam out of your mouth without being breathy, you'll notice you have more melody. And as I said before, it'll raise your mood. You'll feel happier, and so will your listener. Melody is is an occurrence and having a melodic range in your voice. I don't mean sound sing-songy, that sounds artificial, but just having a wider range of notes that you access, you can express yourself more. You can drive home certain points more. So yes, there's a place for volume. There's a place for the discussion of resonance, making sure that you're not too nasal, but I'll talk about nasality in a minute. Oftentimes people who are overly nasal are not. As soon as they do the neck and the chest and blow air through, the nasality is gone. So those are a few tips right away that are so easy to do. Let me talk very briefly about nasality, because that is one resonance that is well known by the general public. I've been told I'm too nasal. And sometimes as we get older, we're too nasal because we have reflux. And reflux, the gases from the stomach, can actually, not just the contents, but the gases can actually come up and cause some swelling in the sinuses. So, and also affect the swelling in the vocal folds. So sometimes people, when they get older, have vocal problems because they have a reflux problem. And I've tried to learn a lot about that over the last 15 years because it's such a common problem, and it's a problem I had, and I was insisted on finding solutions for it. I go to conferences, voice and medical conferences around the world. Just got back from Paris and Istanbul and Athens. I'm heading to Germany in 2 weeks, and then a month later, after coming back to California, I'll be in Spain. So I'm always hanging out with voice researchers, speech pathologists, voice doctors, and I love it. It's like going to college with your friends and always learning something, and they want to learn something from you. It's really, really fun. But I digress. So we've got the posture, we've got the importance of melody, we've got the blowing the hot steam. Now, let's say you do all of these things and you still sound overly buzzy like that, like you feel like the sound is vibrating in your nose. Without getting too technical on that, I'll just say that the soft palate, your soft palate, which is that hangy skin in the back of your mouth, it connects to the hard palate, which is the roof of your mouth. But that soft palate has a couple of different muscles in it. And when it lifts, it shuts off the nose. So think of the soft palate. Here's the back of your throat, and here's your soft palate. It's the doorway to the nose. So the more open the doorway is, the more nasal I am. And the more I lift it, the less nasal you are. So you want to just try feeling like you're just about to yawn, but not finish a yawn. So it's just like this. Just a little bit. Sometimes we'll do it when the cheeks lift. That's good too. And you may feel it's kind of a minty, fresh feeling back there, kind of cool as it lifts, and that helps close the door, or at least it lifts it. So that will reduce that buzzy sound that you may have in your nose. But again, most people who are nasal, it's not a soft palate problem, it's a posture problem. If there's time, I'd love to just share something that I've figured out over decades of experimentation, and it's the topic of support. Maybe some of you have heard about support, and like, well, what is it? You're supposed to, use your diaphragm and sing from your core and learn, activate your belly, but how? And so that was never explained, right? It's just somehow I'm supposed to do something down here that's supposed to help me make better sound. Well, there's, besides the chest, because keeping the chest up as you blow air through your vocal folds is a kind of support. And again, you don't need to know all the science of it. Just remember, keep your chest up when you're speaking. But there's another spot I call the upper belly magic spot that is a way to control your diaphragm without feeling or touching your diaphragm, without knowing anything about your diaphragm. The spot I'm going to show you is going to be very, very helpful for people who need to project their voice. You don't need to worry about it in normal conversational speech. But if you are on stage and you are speaking to a large group of people, even if you have a microphone, this magic spot and how it should work will help you not lose your voice even if the microphone goes out. You will be able to project to the back of the wall. So to find your magic spot, you take 3 fingers, Boy Scout fingers. I'm just going to stand up and show you where it is. So you put your fingers down your breastbone, and at the very end of the bone, you hit your upper belly. This is not the diaphragm. This is the upper belly. But there's a spot here. Its job in projected speech for presentations is to firm out, but also for singing. So it'll firm out like this. And it should stay out for the whole sentence like this. Hello, how are you? It's really good to see you all today. And then when it relaxes in, you're actually breathing. So here's an example everyone can try. I'm going to count to 5. I take a big breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax it for breathing. Now to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax it, and we'll go to 20 now. Take a big breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's extra work when you're running out of air at the end of a long phrase. So you train it to stay out. That's the support job of the upper belly magic spot. And firming that out, not hard like a rock, but definitely firmed out, will create less fatigue if you do have a heavy voice use, especially high volume heavy voice use. And it'll increase your stamina and help the vocal cords work. So there's a couple things about the vocal cords that aren't widely known, which I think are amazing. One is how small they are. People think, they're like it's your neck. No, your voice box is smaller than you think. And inside, right behind an Adam's apple, sit the vocal folds. And they sit like this. They're not really cords, they're folds. And they sit horizontally, and they're connected at the front, and then they close and open in the back hundreds of times a second. That in itself is amazing. So if you're speaking low, they're vibrating more slowly, but still, 150 times a second. The higher you speak or sing, the faster they vibrate. So humans can actually, some humans can do I can do 1,000 times a second. That would be a high C. So they're really remarkable. So they're very small. They're about the size of a dime. They're actually smaller than I've been teaching. I've been teaching that a woman's vocal cord is about the size of a dime, and an average male is about the size of a nickel. And sorry if you're in another country. Most other countries, your coins are too big for this analogy, but they're really small. Turns out they're even smaller than that. So I've been using my tiny nail as an example. And they're very fragile. They're not something that you can bully, or you can't build strength by working them really hard. They don't work that way. They're actually flaps. They're not for speech, but to keep food, water, saliva out of the lungs when you swallow, when you eat. So this talking and singing stuff's just a nice little perk. And there are some historians, anthropologists who believe that it is our ability to speak that led to our brain development, that the speaking and our communication has actually led to this domination of the planet, for better or worse. But that's another discussion, isn't it?
Yes.
So, but it's not there for speaking. They are technically there to protect the airway. Okay, the vocal folds do not vibrate themselves. Big shock. Oh my God, they do not vibrate themselves. It is support. It is the actions of the body, and I won't go through all of them. For speech, you just want chest high, upper belly magic spot gently firmed out for all your speaking needs. And what they do is they create an out. They not just move air through, but they pressurize the air, and it's that pressure that makes the vocal cords vibrate. Air themselves don't make them vibrate. It's the pressure in the airstream. And if you liken it to a sailboat, if there's no wind, you might just be sitting there where the boat isn't going anywhere. There's no movement in the boat. So when there's wind, then you catch the wind. And so you can think of them, vocal folds, almost like sails. They need to not catch the wind, but they're put into vibration because of this pressurized air. And that's what support's really about. It's the jobs from the shoulders to the hips that put that breath, outgoing air, into a pressurized stream of air. Another great example is when you blow when you blow candles off of a cake. If you just go, well, the candles are going to burn and ruin your cake, right? But if you pressurize the air, now you've got some force, and that's going to blow the candles off the cake. So those are some of the most fascinating and little-known things about the vocal folds, how fast they vibrate, how much force in the air it takes to get them to vibrate, and some of the simple mechanisms in your body that will make all that happen.
I love it. I've been in love with the magic spot since you taught me that so many years ago. Lisa and I go back a couple years. I'm just saying.
We're not counting.
Guys, we're not counting. I used to be her assistant in Los Angeles. What did I know? I was with the best singing teacher in LA. There it is.
It took you a little longer to figure it out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're always growing. If you want to improve the quality of your life, we're always learning and always growing. And there's such joy in self-improvement. Now, I know some of us can get so obsessed and so compulsive about lifting weights or running 3 or 4 hours a day or whatever. Some people just have a compulsive bent, but that doesn't mean they're not enjoying it. So I think there needs to be balance as well. But to be aware of your voice, to know that it's important to your money-making ability, to your dating ability. I was with a gentleman, not on a date, but I was on a gentleman recently, and my sister had told me how charming he was. And I was curious to find out, he was a successful businessman, and I was curious what it was about him that my sister found charming. And the first thing was he complimented me when he met me. So I went, okay, complimenting a lady at first meeting, got that, checked that box. But it was really the velvety quality of his voice. He was a pleasure to listen to. Mm-hmm. It just was like it's like a hug for your ears. And we all can do that. But sometimes we need to raise the pitch. Americans are famous for speaking too low, especially women who hear that. They hear Kim Kardashian and they think that's sexy and cool. I think it kind of goes back to Valley Girl, the great Zappo song with his daughter. It's, I'm just whatever. Okay, that's really grody. So I think that became fashionable for young girls to talk like that. And then there was Britney Spears, oh, baby, baby. And that kind of linked fry and low pitches to being cool. And I understand that women want to be taken seriously. They want to be respected. But you don't have to lower your voice to do it. There are many other ways, like being smart, being knowledgeable.
Thank you. We did not touch it. Sacrifice our voice on the altar of fry and unpleasantness and unhealthy voice production, which will just get worse.
It does get worse. It can wear your voice out, and you'll get more and more hoarse. And you don't want people to always ask, are you okay? Do you have a cold? Oh, do you have laryngitis? Everything okay at home? You don't want people worrying about you.
Great point. And when we first moved to LA from the East Coast, the first time I heard Valley Girl, I turned to my husband, I said, my God, they do exist. Here they are.
It's a real thing.
A real thing. And living in Silicon Valley for 5 years, the girls at Berkeley had this fry thing going on. I'd get into a lift with someone. I thought, what on earth is this unpleasantness?
And they don't realize that. They don't, because they're all doing it. It becomes a bad habit, kind of a coarsening of culture that we've seen with, little soapbox, with the rise of rap. I think it coarsens culture. And I think when you're, I'm assuming that a lot of your audience are men, but I think it's important for men and women to realize that when you want to present a package, when you're competing with other people and you all look good, you all have a great CV, could your voice be the one thing that makes it so you get the position or the upgrade or not? There's one more tip hack really that I'd like to share with you about finding the perfect pitch, because I said earlier you want to find your perfect speaking, but I didn't really tell you how to do that. And this is quick, so I promise I'll be quick on this. And that is, and I'd like everyone to try this if you've ever doubted that you're speaking at the ideal pitch. Because by the way, we don't hear ourselves. You think you sound one way, and that's not what you sound like. So you could talk like this, and everyone thinks, that something. Why are you talking like that? And you think it sounds fine, because our ears are not engineered to hear your voice. There's no survival value in hearing your own voice. So 2 tips. One I'm going to say is finding your perfect pitch, and the second one I call big ear. Really fun technique so you can hear yourself as other people hear you if you want to practice your speaking voice. So, finding your perfect pitch, just touch your lips very gently together and hum. And imagine that you're eating like something that's delicious. Just think of, to me, it's chocolate cake. Just go, and see if you can feel your lips vibrate, maybe your teeth, your gums. And that sets up your perfect central pitch for speaking. Again, with melody, you'll be a little higher, a little lower than that. Now say, hello. Make sure you're really vibrating your lips, particularly your upper lip. How are you? I'm fine, thank you very much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for a lot of people, particularly women, they'll find that they're speaking up to 1 octave higher than their habitual pitch. And they say, oh, it feels so much better. I sound really silly like a young girl. But that's because they don't hear themselves, and they don't hear how beautiful and natural it sounds. But more importantly, they don't feel that choky, tight, that feeling that feels like I'm a bird and I'm trapped in a cage and I can't get out. Hello. When you practice with the as your start, you will recalibrate your pitch and you don't feel anything uncomfortable in your throat. So that is the finding your perfect pitch tip of the day. And if you want to hear yourself as other people hear you, you take your hands and you cup your ears like this. Make sure you don't smash the ears forward. Just keep them to like making a big ear. And now try to make sure that your elbows are about 12 inches apart, 1 foot apart. So 1/3 of a meter. That's the only international measurement I know. I know a meter is about our yard. So Americans just will not do metric. We didn't even try. Like about that. So it'll be about this far apart. This angle is very important for big ear to work. If they're too far out, it'll be like you're not cupping your ears at all. And if you put your elbows together, you'll hear your voice as more bassy than it is. So that's why it's important that you cup and put the elbows about this far apart. And then just go, hello. How are you? I'm fine, thank you very much. And you can just read something if you want, but don't look down to read it. Make sure the back of the neck is long and the chest is high. And just notice that the sound seems to be pouring out of you in this really graceful, smooth, and charming, sexy way without trying to be happy birthday, without being breathy. It's just what I call having a blowy sound. So those are two things that you can add to your repertoire if people have mentioned your voice in some way. Because often when our voices aren't ideal, someone will say something. Often it's that, are you okay? Do you have a cold? Are you sick? Or they'll actually worry about you. Or you just suspect somebody said something at some time, but they don't know anything about voice. So anyway, the point is, the tools are there. They're not hard. Anyone can learn them. But you have to remember to push that button to use your professional voice in a situation where it matters. Now, the rest of the time, it doesn't really. It just be you. be you with the heavy accent, nasal, whatever. Just be you. Professional voice, it'll really help the bottom line for a lot of us.
It matters so much, doesn't it? And I think that's why people aren't promoted. That's what it means. My executives will say to me, I'm told I don't have executive presence. What does that mean? It's usually their voice and the way they're making presentations and speaking that is just holding back their career. So thank you so much for opening up the wonderful, amazing world of the voice. I think to my audience, you can see why this is my favorite voice teacher and scientist in the world, because she never stops learning. And now that I teach the science of the vocal folds, now I have to edit what I teach everyone, small amount of thought as well. And this is the miracle and something that I think we can really treasure when we have a beautiful voice that lifts us up as well as our audience. It's a beautiful, effective tool. So, Lisa, how can we reach out to you and connect with you?
Well, I have a website, which is my last name. I remember I was one of the first 100,000 to have a website in 1994, and I snagged it before my brother Ron could snag it. So it's Popeil.com, and that's spelled Popeil.com. So there's no pie in Popeil, in case an old boyfriend told me that. I went, I'm stealing that one. So Popeil.com. And I have lots of videos on there, primarily for singers, but then voice lessons and lots of product, including an easy 20-minute download called How to Speak Beautifully. And I also have a YouTube channel with lots of workshops and videos on there as well. I offer private lessons on Zoom or Skype, and am available when I'm not traveling, and that's under the voice lessons or vocal lessons link on my website. So come and you can sign up for my newsletter for upcoming workshops. So I'm in the golden years. I want to spread some of the love as best I can, and over the next 20 years or so. So happy to help in any way, even sort of health issues related to the voice. I might be able to advise, even though I'm not a doctor. I may be helpful in that as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share some of my hot tips with people who are influencers, who are not just influencers like some 15-year-old in their bedroom, but corporate, business, important influencers. Let us be the role models. Let us be the role models. I cannot wait for a return to television where it was a Walter Cronkite voice, when broadcasters were so trained in their delivery. And I used to be training now. There's no training at their local, at least for even in Los Angeles. There's certainly a lot of makeup.
What is a lot of training of our voice? Oh my gosh.
We take it for granted.
Okay. We must not do that.
We don't know anything about it. But once you start knowing more about it, you really want to treasure it.
We really do. Lisa, what a pleasure. Thank you for sharing. I know these tips work because I use them. Lisa is my teacher. Thank you so much for enlightening us about just how much impact we can have with a beautiful speaking voice.
Bye for now.
Bye for now as we sing our way out. Stay tuned. More Up-Level Your Communication podcast coming. In fact, I'm shooting another one tomorrow. Stay tuned. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Be sure to share our show with the key leadership at your company and with your friends. If you know in your heart that you're ready to up-level your speaking, stage presence, and impact, visit milunafausch.com to schedule a complimentary call. You can also purchase my book and our podcast music, Strong Body.
Thank you for enjoying this content by Billionaires in Boxes. If you would like to be a guest or a host, be sure to get in contact with us at billionairesinboxes.com.